Hello, my name is Michael Garrett, and this is the PoppinCulture Podcast. Here with me is my guest, Don Garrett. Don is a comedian and co-host of the PapaDon Podcast. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man. A huge fan of the show, man. So I'm just happy to be here, brother. Thank you.
I'm a humongous fan of the PapaDon Podcast myself and you as a comedian.
Thank you, my man. Thank you.
He is truly one of the funniest people I know. Bar none, if you're in Charlotte or South Carolina or North Carolina area, make sure you check him out.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Before we dip into the podcast, as a comedian, I wanted to ask you, everybody talks about bombing, but can you explain the first time you killed or did great on stage, that feeling?
You know what? The first time I guess that killed, it was actually my graduation show. I graduated from I took the Comedy Zone class, and so we had 6 weeks of class, and in the 7th week was our actual show. So being a comedian, my first official show was in front of about 300 people.
Nice.
Which is good. Friendly crowd. So that was the first official time that I killed because, they were so nice. And so I guess that counts as my first official time killing on stage.
Nice. And could you compare to everything else you've done in your life? Like, does any feeling compare?
You know what? It's just, honestly, there's no feeling that compares. I remember my graduation show, the first time, man, that I spit out a punchline and the crowd just roared with laughter. It hit me in my chest, man. I was like, whoa. That feeling. You know that feeling. All comedians know that feeling that we get when people laughing at our thoughts and what we think and how we see the world. It's like the biggest compliment to me. And so, man, that feeling hit me in my chest, and that's, I say comedy is, it's my drug. I'm chasing that laughter. I'm chasing that feeling that I first got. I still get it, man. I still get it every time performing and stuff, but that's what keeps me going, chasing that feeling, man.
Okay, nice. And like I said, your co-host is Chris Mons.
That's my brother, man. Shout out to my brother Chris Mons.
Very funny comedian, by the way. Very funny.
Yes.
How did you guys get together?
You know what, man? We had started following each other on Instagram. And then, you know how it is when you finally meet someone. Like, we were friends on Facebook, and then we finally met at a show at the Golden. Well, Chris and I had, started following each other on Instagram. And so there was a competition at Stats that comedian Lonnie Love had hosted. And so I was just standing there, and, we got our contact. He was like, Don? I was like, Chris? I was like, yeah. So then, we exchanged contact information. And I had been wanting to start a podcast, just didn't know anybody that was actually serious about it. And lo and behold, Chris texted me 2 weeks after the competition and was just like, hey, you ever thought about starting a podcast? And lo and behold, there we go. So that's how PapaDon was started.
Nice. Wow, that was cool. That's nice. Right time, right place. And you guys put on an amazing show.
Thank you. We appreciate that, man. It's so fun because our styles are, so different. If we're comparing us to, like, say, the Breakfast Club, I'm like the DJ Envy. I'm, the guy that's, that's just there, keeping everything steady. And then Chris is like the Charlemagne, the guy that comes from, like, left field and just be having everybody dying. And so, man, our styles complement each other because, I'm so energetic and Chris is so laid back. It's like the yin and the yang. So, man, it's always fun. Episodes are always a blast, man. Like, we really have a lot of fun recording.
Nice. I hope to catch up with you guys. Like, you guys have great episodes.
Well, you have a great episode, man. And what you're doing with PoppinCulture, my man, is, like, awesome. So, like, just do it. Just do it and have fun while you're doing it.
Nice. The topic that we said we would discuss is podcast.
Yeah.
You have a lot of experience. You have a lot of episodes. So I'm so glad you came on to talk about it. I did a little research. I found out the first podcast, or the people that created podcast, or the term, are Adam Curry and Dave Wines. Have you ever heard of them?
Nope, not to tonight. Okay. My first time, but thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, they definitely were ahead of their time. I guess when they first started, people really were just like, it didn't make sense. But right. I'm glad it slowly, like, came into what it is now.
Same here.
Podcast actually has its own day. Did you do anything for it? I just found out about it myself.
Wow, I just found out about it today too.
Okay.
We, needless to say, we didn't celebrate. We didn't know.
Okay, September 3rd is apparently international.
It's the day after my birthday.
Oh, nice, man.
All right, celebrate something else good now.
Exactly. Nice. and then we'll go into the different types of podcasts. For you have a live podcast, and
Right.
I like to have mine pre-recorded. What would you say are the benefits of going live with yours?
The unpredictability is the benefits. Sometimes we talk about a topic, or we'll discuss some things, or we get a lot of feedback on our Facebook Live, or questions coming in, or sometimes we'll have people calling in to talk about a subject as well. So just the unpredictability, because we get so many different views and opinions on things that we talk about. But man, when we're like having a blast and they're just laughing, we get so many funny comments and people, just having a blast with us as well. So the unpredictability is you never know exactly where it's going to go. So I say that's the benefit of being live,
Okay. All right. Are you ever worried about someone saying something like, because my whole thing about pre-recording is I would always love to tell somebody, hey, is there anything you want me to edit out? Like, even after this, I'll be like, is there anything that you said that needs to be like, cut or edited? Are you ever worried about your guest saying something and you have to, I wouldn't say correct them, but like if it was just something you totally didn't agree with, you'd be like, whoa,
You know what? Actually, believe it or not, with all the episodes, we haven't had that issue. At the same token, we tell people, hey, you're an adult. This is, no ratings, say whatever you want. But, with that comes great responsibility. And also, it's our brand as well. So while we give you that leeway to say what's on your mind, we also reserve the right to turn your mic off or stop the interview if you're just going all off the rails. So with great power comes great responsibility.
Cool, true. Another thing about the live that I would say is definitely bad on my end is, if you've seen any of my podcasts, I am like, if someone brings up a recent topic, I swerve away from it, because it's like by the time this episode drops, that recent topic won't matter at all. Like,
yeah, no, I get you, and that's what's so hard about recording in general. The way that things move in this world, just so quick. You have certain things that stretch out for a long period of time, and then you have some that come as and go as fast as the murder hornets. You have things like that, so it's just like it's so hard to be the first or to get there right on time to talk about it, because things change so fast.
True. As we talk about the different types of podcasts, I'm more of I hate to call it interview because I do not give interviews. It's more of a conversation.
Yeah.
I give it to Donovan Stroud, like the Don't Go Postal podcast.
Yeah, shout out to my guy Donovan Stroud.
Great podcast.
Yes.
He does something I tell him I can never do. Have you ever tried to do a solo podcast where you're just talking?
I have not. And anytime, say if there's an episode where Chris isn't there, I usually have a guest. So there's never just been, an episode of just me talking. There just has not. So I commend Donovan for that. That takes a lot of just, man, time, talent, effort, all that, man. Shout outs to Donovan.
Yeah, I shout out to all of them that do the solo podcast.
Yeah.
I've seen Gary Owen, Deion Vaughn. I've seen a lot of people do it, and it's just like, I know me, I'll get preachy.
Yo, yeah.
I need that person across the table to be like, well, maybe this. And then it's like, okay.
Yeah, I'll get on the soapbox quick. I'm like, you gave me a microphone and just time? Cool.
Yeah.
I'll check on me in 30 minutes.
Exactly, right? And especially if because I never want to be like 100% wrong and just be like, this whole episode,
right.
Not going to delete it, but
it's like, you know what? It's like, do I take a stance or I got to figure out something to do with it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Apparently, and this is off MSN, sports podcasts are literally the most popular podcasts, or the most podcasts about sports.
Yeah.
Do you think it's any reason for that?
You know what? I think with sports, we look at sports because, we enjoy it because it's, sports are America's favorite pastime. We're all into sports, different kind of sports and things like that. I think with that, you see the stories in the ESPNs and the Fox Sports and, those official sports channels, and those are backed up with facts and data and things like that. But I think that you listen to the podcast because those are more opinion based, and you listen because you could think a certain thing about a player and you hear somebody else saying it and they could, be agreeing with you wholeheartedly the same things that you're saying. So, I think, with sports being as huge as they are here You know, in the United States, you look at the sports on TV, of course, because it's enjoyable. But you know, you watch the ESPN for the facts, and you listen to the podcast for the opinions.
True. I agree with everything you just said when it comes to sports podcasts. Do you think that it's something that would last for a good while, or do you think they should mix it up more?
I think it's something that'll last for a good while, honestly. Because you know, say when the pandemic first happened, and while there were no live sports going on, you know, they're showing reruns and replays and things like that, the sports podcast could still be current. So you could still catch up with everything that was going on, or things that they were talking about. They were still pretty much carrying that until live sports came back on TV. So I don't think it's going anywhere, because sports aren't going anywhere. Sports isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
True. Surprisingly, number 2 was actually political podcast.
You know what? And it's funny that you say that, because I was just having a conversation earlier saying that, you know, I'm not a fan of politics. Certain things that I don't debate. The top 2 are politics and religion. Like, just know, like, if you want a recipe for disaster, debate those things, you know, and they split friendships and all that. However, when it comes to, you know, politics, I've actually found myself super engaged with this current election, and looking to see, you know, oh man, the votes done. You know, it's like must see TV almost. I'm enjoying CNN. This is crazy. So yeah, I think with the politics, man, it's the same as the sports. Same as the sports, you got people that's you know, left wing, right wing, and whatnot. So you generally gonna tune into the podcast of the people that you agree with.
And I think that's why it's so, like, I thought it would be number 1, just because, like, it's one of those things where if you agree with them, you'll ride that podcast out.
Oh yes, definitely so.
I try to stay away from it in total, because, you know.
Same here, man. I even on stage, I don't do political jokes. I don't go anywhere near it. I mean, it takes a certain type of skill, because political jokes, man, like, they're catered to a really specific audience, and it's people, you got to know specifics and names and all this. It's too much to keep up with. I don't want to think that hard. The comedy is already hard enough, so nah.
If you ever went in a room and you'd be like, well, you say you don't make any political jokes, but sometimes you go in the room and you be like, "Oh, that can't be said tonight."
Yeah, you got some, man, and performing in front of crowds, like you can kind of get a vibe of what political party they may back, and you know who they may favor and things like that. So I found that, you know, everybody can be united under laughter. That's the one thing. You tell a good joke, everybody's good, nobody's arguing and whatnot, and even if it's an instance of where a comedian does say lean towards one way more than another, they are at a certain skill level to where they can reel that crowd back in.
You hope so.
Right, you hope. Because that's like, if you don't, you just killed your entire set.
Yep.
I'm definitely not trying to take that chance. Nah.
You ever had to go after that person?
Yeah. I actually have.
Me too.
Actually, yeah. Talk about, man, digging myself out of a trench. It's good in a sense, because, you know, it tests your strength as a comedian to try and get that crowd back, because obviously they want to laugh, and if that person didn't make them laugh, then they're looking more forward to you, and you better make them laugh. And it's also bad because it can literally suck the life out of the room. So if you got a 10-minute set, and you done spend a minute and 30 seconds getting a light back into the room, you only got 8 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Yeah, that's true. You definitely have to work that room now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's it's a skill.
Nice. And the third one is this. This is the third one: interviews or conversation podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we just discussed why that's so important, because we both have that kind of podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll go to the fourth, and the one that I'm not a fan of it, but I understand why people like it. True crimes.
You know, people are obsessed with like Snapped and Discovery ID and Forensic Files and stuff. They're so fascinated with like the process of like, you know, like the game of Clue, finding a killer, who done it. People are so, you know, they like to hear about stuff like that.
It's scary, man.
It very much is.
I did listen to two episodes before this episode of the podcast that we're doing now. Very much drama, like very much dramatized. Where I get what they're the basic of, but like the two stories I heard, I don't believe they were true. Like they sound like a episode of Law and Order.
Yeah, and in a sense, it could be one of those things where it's more like a people blog stories and things like that. So it could be something where they created a story. It's fiction, and it's just a fictionalized, murder or whatever, or true crime and whatnot that people just kind of enjoy. One of those things is based more on like imagination. So yeah, I mean, the good thing about podcasts is you can literally do anything with the podcast. You can make it go in any direction, any theme, any kind of, whatever. You can make it go any and every way that you want.
True. Now we talk about guests you have had almost everywhere, from comedian Tara Brown.
That's my big sister. Shout outs to Tara.
Super
Love
nice
Tara.
And super funny, by the way.
Yes.
You've had recording artist Sharwin King.
Yeah, yeah.
You've had even doctors, Doc Honeycutt.
Shout outs to Doc Honeycutt and Beauties and Bites.
Honeycutt. I am sorry, Honeycutt. Even Arthur Naomi Tesher.
That's my cousin. Shout outs to my cousin Naomi.
Which I loved everybody's episode, but my favorite would have to be Tara and Naomi's. Like, they're just great episodes.
Yeah.
When you talk to someone that's different besides comedians or entertainers, do you go into that conversation differently, or everything's the same?
I feel like everything's the same because under the realm of entertainment, you have so many umbrellas. You have comedy, you have music, dance, entertainment, film, actor and actress, author. You have a lot of things that fall under that realm of entertainment. And I feel like we're all creatives. We're all creatives, and I feel like all creatives understand each other because we have dreams and we have talents and aspirations that we've been blessed with. And, we're literally doing what we got to do to try and live those out. That's like the true definition of being free, pursuing your dreams. So I think that we all understand each other in that regard.
Okay. You gave me one of the best tips when I started my podcast. You was like, everyone's your favorite guest. And I treat that the same way. As soon as I start, like, everyone is the best guest. Everyone's my favorite guest. And I think that's the best route to go. Going back to other podcasts, why do you think some podcasts are more popular than others?
I think it's all about how it resonates with the listeners. If you give people something to pretty much be relatable to, they're more inclined to listen and tell their friends about it. People with similar interests listen to similar things. So if we're friends and say we both listen to, Jay-Z, and there's a podcast that talks about nothing but Jay-Z's music history, being that we're Jay-Z fans, we're both going to listen to it. And then we got 3 other friends that are Jay-Z's fans, and we're going to tell them about it too because they're Jay-Z's fans and this podcast is for them. So I think it all depends on how it resonates with people. And then honestly, you know what? I think a lot of it just kind of depends on the luck of the draw too. The luck of the draw, you get diamonds in the rough, you get gems and things that get discovered, and then poof, they just blow up, man. So it's all about that. But, I think the biggest part of that is like the time and dedication that people put into it.
Yes. It's always amazing to me. Well, it's like this with TV shows, I believe. It's like you find something you never heard of or never seen, and then like you're like, man, I really like this, and then you look back and be like, wow, they have like 300 episodes.
Exactly.
Like, and it's just like, oh man, it's okay. Let me go back, and you'll find out like from the beginning to like where they are now, like how far they've come, like production wise,
yep.
And then I just think that is clever. I think it's true. If you just keep putting in 10,000 hours, eventually you gotta become somewhat successful.
Oh yeah, definitely so. Definitely so, man. It's just about it's a game. It's a long game. It's a marathon. That's with anything, especially creatively. Very rarely, if it comes overnight, be afraid, because it's as quick as it comes, it's just as fast as it goes. So, you appreciate it more when you put that work in, man, and it's your just desserts. Hard work pays off. So that's the reward, man. The reward is getting it to that level to where you're monetizing, you're living off of it, basically. It's paying your bills. You can reach a broader audience, sponsorships, endorsements. That's entrepreneurship right there.
Yes.
That's entrepreneurship. So the time and the dedication, man, like, it definitely is worth it.
Yes. Would you say you've learned a lot with your podcast from your guests?
Oh, definitely so. Yeah, definitely so. The thing that I've learned more is that, a podcast is essentially, as you said, it's a conversation. But, interviews are, centered around a person, and sometimes questions can remind them of, certain life experiences or, certain traumas or things like that. So you just never know, again, where the conversation is going to lead. And, I've literally learned to kind of just roll and just go wherever. I used to be, structured where I'd have, I had places where I wanted to go. But I found out that just letting that conversation just flow, just flow is the best. Everything comes out, it's unfiltered, it's honest, it's truthful, it's raw, and it just comes out in the best form, just blah, right there. So I've learned that.
Yes. Like I said, I'm a big fan of your podcast, and what I noticed is a lot of your guests drop a lot of jewels.
Definitely.
Especially the all of them. I don't want to say especially, but the one that I felt like as a comedian I got the most jewels from were Ryan Davis and T Springs.
Yo, them brothers, very knowledgeable. Yes.
And in my podcast, even with Chris Carano, like he had so much of a horror background. I knew he knew horror, but like when he started saying stuff, and I'm like, man, I know horror. And then he kept talking, and I was just like, you know what, I don't.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Carano. Is 80s horror flicks. That's his realm.
Yes, like he blew me out. What, best promoter in North Carolina, by the way, too.
Yes, undeniably.
But it's just always amazing where you think you know something, but you truly don't.
Yep.
It really blows my mind. Do you have any favorite podcasts?
You know what? Probably one of my favorite podcasts. I like all of my friends' podcasts. So
True.
The PoppinCulture, Don't Go Postal, the Podcast from Hell. So many local podcasts that a lot of my friends have that I listen to, because that's my favorite. Like, I'm even in, say, the comedy game, my favorite comedians, of course, I like celebrities, but my favorite ones are the ones that I'm watching every night.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those are the people I'm watching. So like my favorite podcasts are literally my peers, my people that are coming up and they're doing their thing. Those are my favorites.
Yes. True. Now we go to like the most famous, I would say the most popular, definitely most popular because he has the most views and listens, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Have you ever got a chance to see like the first or listen to like the first 100 episodes?
No, I didn't make it that far. I listened to a few, but I know, over the course of time, the episodes have kind of evolved.
It's definitely, do you know who Ninja is? The Twitch streamer Ninja?
No.
Okay. Long story short, Ninja is this guy that got famous off Fortnite and streaming it online.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same, what I would say with Joe Rogan. It's like, both of them were like very vulgar, and then they got advertisement money.
Wow. And
now like this here, like episode 50 Joe Rogan, and here episode I think like 1,000 something. I was like, oh, this isn't the same guy. Like this was Fear Factor guy. Now this is a professional $100 million man.
Yep.
Like
over time, because when you start getting money, you got to change that brand a little bit.
So it's one of those things where it's like, do you start vulgar and then clean it up once you get like attention, or in your opinion, what's better? Just stay clean the whole time?
I'd say even if you stay clean, man, like you kind of that's basically low risk. Low risk. Now some people would feel like staying clean would kind of stifle their artistic views, or just kind of choke them if they want to curse or whatnot. Some people just honestly they can't do it. And there's nothing wrong with it, but you just have to know your lane. If you want to stay clean, you can do that because you have a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of stuff you can get away with. Mm-hmm. But if you just want to keep it blue collar, that's cool too. It's an audience out there for that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an audience out there for that. Now, when you're clean, you have a higher chance probably of getting sponsorships. But who's to say, like you said, with the vulgarity, they can get that too. It's all how you market it.
And way more freedom.
Yes.
Yes, no. There would be no headline, but like, can you believe he said it? And now to transfer over to radio, do you think when it comes to talk show, radio shows, do you think podcasts can eventually kill it, or do you think it will always be a thing?
Radio has been slowly kind of fading out. And I mean, it's one of those mediums, those channels and things, but I mean, streaming has kind of killed that. Streaming, people are visual now. And I mean, with stuff coming to our phones and whatnot, if you want to watch the music video, you can watch it. Like, you don't necessarily have to listen to the radio. People are streaming music on their phones and stuff. So I don't think that radio is going to completely die out. I think it'll still, be around because they have certain licenses and things that if you're a podcast and say if you want to play music, you have to obtain those licenses too. So I think people listen to the radio because you're going to get music, and people listen to podcasts because you're going to get talking. So I think being that they're kind of in separate lanes, that radio will be okay.
Okay. Do you think there will be another, going to radio wise, do you think 10 years from now it will be another Howard Stern, or do you think everything's going straight to podcast?
I think everything's going straight to podcast because, when you get mainstream and things, the way the world is now, like, we're so PC, and Howard Stern is the furthest from PC, but he's literally probably the greatest radio show host that's ever done it, because he just does it so crazy. So I don't think there will be another, because in this PC culture, if Howard Stern was trying to come out now, they'd shut it down before it even gets started.
He would definitely have to be on Barstool.
Oh man, would you? Yeah, definitely so. So now, Howard Stern, like, now you cannot go that, you can't be that brazen in today's time. Do I see things changing from that? Nah, I think this PC culture is here to stay.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. Was there any podcast where you, I hope this doesn't sound like a hater answer, so if you don't feel comfortable answering, was there any podcast where you were like, wow, they really made it?
No, not that I can think of, because I mean, any podcast that has grabbed my attention or that I've listened to has pretty much been great in content, and then it's been a clear mission of what they're trying to accomplish with it. So I've only listened to any podcast I've come across has only been good, honestly. I can't say that I've heard a bad podcast or a bad episode. I've gotten something different from each episode that I've listened to.
Exactly. That's how I felt too. Even if it was a podcast, I was like, I couldn't understand it, but then I listened to another episode and it's like, oh, okay, now I get the gist of this.
Yeah. You learn something different with every episode, man. So I enjoy that aspect of it.
Nice. And it's never, like a lot of radio hosts, they'll just be very repeated, they'll repeat stuff over and over. I've never heard a podcast where like everything's the same as the whole episode.
Right, yeah. I mean, and with the podcast, you have a greater flexibility. When you're, radio station, you're an employee and you're working for a brand, so you have to do what they set the parameters to. When you have a podcast, you own that brand. You can do whatever you want. You have that creative and that artistic freedom to do whatever. You don't have a muzzle or a stifle or nothing like that. And that's what your audience is going to like, that genuine aspect of it. Disc jockeys on the radio, they gotta pretty much do what they can to stay within the limits of whatever the station wants. Podcast, the sky is the limit. You can do whatever you want. Who's gonna stop you? The FCC? No, they don't regulate podcasts. No. They don't.
I hope they never do.
I can't see them doing that. To me, podcasts are what mixtapes used to be. Back in the day, we would download mixtapes and things off of like DatPiff or livemixtapes.com. And I remember Trey Songz that came out with Ready, but Trey Songz had a mixtape, a free mixtape. I cannot remember what the name of Anticipation. And with a mixtape, you had, like, when an album comes out, you have to sing about whatever the record company says sing about. When you put out a mixtape, you sing about whatever you want. Yeah. That's just your project. That's your baby. You're doing this just to have fun. And because, your people, your audience are going to enjoy it and support it. That's what podcasts are. Podcasts are the mixtapes today.
That's a great illustration. That's perfect. And that's 100% true. That is, yeah. Because Wow, you couldn't word that any better. Yes, we are definitely the mixtape. Yes,
we are, and that's what people they love, the artistic freedom that we put behind our work. So that's what they tune in for. They listen to the radio because all right, they know what they're getting with that, and it gets boring. But oh man, you listen to this podcast, oh yo, I'm gonna get the best laugh, or I'm gonna get the best conversation. That's how it is, man. It's the mixtape. It's what we have the artistic freedom to do because nobody can regulate it. It's ours.
And I think that's the biggest influence it's had on pop culture thus far. It's just that now I have an opinion. Yep. The only thing I do is buy the software and a mic, and now I'm good to go.
Exactly.
Where before it's like, I'm not saying it wasn't ways to get your opinion out there, but now it's like, this is my show.
Yep.
And this is my voice, not everyone. Because I think, especially with COVID, they said podcasts went up like 1,000%.
Oh, definitely so. Because people, when you're telling people, some people like are furloughed. Some people they're just at home. They can't work, do nothing. You can't go home. You can't go outside or whatnot. You can't go outside. No businesses or whatnot. You literally can go nowhere. So what do? Let's start a podcast. Some people have been wanting to do it anyway, and they finally got the time to get it started. So it's like, okay, you go to Amazon, it's still delivering. Boom, here get your mics and everything. How do you start a podcast? Pow, there's Google. You got everything that you need. You literally get it done because ain't nobody going nowhere. We all at home.
Exactly. Well, technical wise, what was your hardest part when you started? For me, it was sound.
The sound is definitely it. We was basically guerrilla style. You know what I'm saying? When we started, man, we had the black sheet up in Chris' garage. I ordered a MacBook because I heard that MacBooks were like the best to go with whatever. We ordered the mics and we just ran guerrilla style. I ain't know what we was doing. And we just figured it out as we went. So I think the sound is definitely the biggest aspect. When I edit, I don't edit it too much or enhance the sound or anything like that. I just take out, the noise reductions and the background noise and whatnot. But other than that, man, I like to leave the audio pretty much as kind of as raw as possible.
Yeah. I was so glad someone told me no, you have to sync audio. Because at first I was just going to do my phone.
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, nah.
It was like, that's not going to be
That's not going to work, bro.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not going to work.
I was like, you want to hear echo?
Yeah, that's not going to work, dog.
No. About you and Chris Mon, is there any time when you guys don't agree on something when it comes to the podcast? You guys have a great relationship when it does? Great
relationship, man. Like we talk about everything, and it's pretty much one of those things where we're comfortable with the decisions that are made. If Chris makes a decision, hey, I'm with it. Let's do it. Same with me, and then of course we make decisions together as well. So we only want to do what's best for the brand anyway. And how we think about it, it's just, man, we're always pretty much on the same page, which is a blessing, because there's no conflicts, there's no headbutting or anything like that. We're always on the same page where we just want to do what's best for the podcast. Nice. So that's always the goal.
That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. Only reason why I said that because if you remember this, Joe Rogan had someone that was his partner. I can't remember the comedian's name, but they bump heads. And then I've heard a lot of other stories about people bump heads. But that's great that you guys have that great relationship.
Yeah, and we enjoy it, man. It's always, like I said, what's best for the brand, what's best for the podcast. But I never want to put my partner in a precarious situation. So being that's always number one. That's always the number one goal. Is nothing to put, of course, your partner in a precarious situation to do anything that they're not comfortable with, and we don't do none of that.
Nice. But that's, like you said, it goes back to it being your own show. I'm not gonna put myself in no bad situation.
Exactly. No, we not, man. We got to get famous first before we have our scandals, but we got to get famous first. A scandal at this level ain't gonna attract that much attention. We got to get famous first before we start having scandals. So now we scandal free.
My man said nobody gonna care right now.
Yeah, they're not gonna care, but once we get rich and stuff, it holds a little bit more weight. We need to save that energy till then, man. We're gonna need a good scandal at some point in our careers.
Yeah, but we gotta get those views.
Yeah, you got to, man. Keep us relevant.
Don Garrett's funniest person, one of the funniest people I know.
Keep us relevant.
Okay. I don't know why that's funny, but I agree.
I'm just saying, man. Look at how many times T.I. been to jail. What we doing now? Watching Family Hustle.
I thought we were gonna go cheating on his wife, but that's who you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give me a good scandal, one that doesn't land me in jail, pay some restitutions and whatnot. But like, don't make me like a bad guy, just an anti-hero. People still love me.
Yeah.
That's how I got to get a good lawyer. I got this all planned out, man. But like, I got to get some M's behind my name first, because that's gonna be kind of expensive. You know what I mean? A good scandal is expensive.
Yeah, but so, just one.
Just one. I don't want no more. Just one. That's it.
One to get your views back up, and then people forget about it.
That's
kind of like that Arnold thing when he had sex with the maid.
Yeah, that's just like that. Yeah. That is just like that. It's some attempts are more outlandish than others. I don't have a physique for a sex tape, so I had to kind of cross that out. Then if I get skinty enough, that might be different. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, if I get skinty enough, but whatever. Yeah. Being that I don't see myself, I can't have a sex tape. I gotta not pay taxes or something like that. But then like they found out that I was donating like the money to like, I don't know, like I was just going to the strip club. I don't know, man. Like it's gotta be something.
You gonna Wesley Snipes it, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I'm a Wesley Snipes it, but I ain't gonna see jail time though. I ain't gonna see jail time. Okay. Nah, I can't, because I got these hips. I can't go to jail. Can't go to jail. Jail's not an option with these hips. Nah. I seen your eyes, bro. No.
I'm not about that life.
No, I'm not a fighter in no regard.
No.
If you get it, you just got it.
I don't feel that way at all. You gotta die.
If you get it, you just got it. Like, oh man. Nah, first thing I do, I make a shame.
Nah, I ain't about that life at all.
Not at all.
So the gist of what we were talking about with the influence that podcasts have influenced pop culture.
No.
Yeah, try to say that 5 times fast, right? I think it's truly here to last. But do you think something comes after podcasts, or do you think podcasts may be like, okay, this is where we're pushing it further, or do you think it's something else coming after this?
I think, you know what? I think podcasts are kind of like I don't want to say the end all be all, but they have been transformed in a sense where it was just, majority audio. And now, people are adding video to it, just like, recording now and whatnot. And although it's video, it's still technically a podcast. And I think people are doing different things with podcasts to constantly keep reinventing them. So no matter what it sounds like, it's still a podcast. And so I think that's what's going to keep a podcast, in demand for the long run.
Nice. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anything you'd like to say to your fans?
You know what, man? Listen, man. Y'all follow, support PoppinCulture. My man, follow and support comedian Michael Garrett. Funny brother. I appreciate y'all having me here, Poppin Nation, man. Thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate y'all.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This is PoppinCulture, and have an amazing day.
Hey.